A blessed day to you all. My name is Peter Lino from Sydney, Australia. Welcome to Pathways of Hope. I'm sure we all have our share of stories, which will always be the subject of any get together or reunion we have with friends or former classmates. One of these was an episode during my very first day of high school. As everyone was seated inside the classroom, looking around both excited and nervous for what high school has in store for us, this man walks through the door of the classroom, and instinctively, everyone stood up to greet him, thinking he was the teacher, only to find out he was just a freshman student like us who happened to look, let's just say, very smart and mature for his age. A classic example of how perceptions influence our actions. At the start of today's gospel, we read about the confusion and division amongst the people who've heard Jesus speak. Some in the crowd who heard these words of Jesus said, "This is truly the prophet." Others said, "This is the Christ." But others said, "The Christ will not come from Galilee, will he? Does not Scripture say that the Christ will be of David's family and come from Bethlehem, where the village where David lived?" So a division occurred in the crowd because of him. Some of them even wanted to arrest him, but no one laid hands on him. In the chapter and verses prior to today's reading, Jesus performs the miracle of the multiplication of loaves and preaches about who he is, the bread of life and the source of living water. Despite all of these, here they were in disbelief and arguing as to whether he was indeed the Messiah, based on their perceptions, the lenses they wore, or their willingness to accept the truth. Sadly, some, based on their perceptions, had wanted Jesus arrested. In an earlier verse, verse 24, Jesus had already reminded his listeners, "Stop judging by appearances, but judge justly." Not only then, but even in today's society, there's so much confusion and division. Things are further aggravated by the many who proclaim false truths. This Lenten season is a very good opportunity to reflect and ask ourselves, how much of Jesus' words and teachings through scriptures have we really understood? Have we possibly allowed worldly views and perceptions slowly to creep into our lives, influencing the way we form views, whether it be in family matters, business dealings, or political persuasions? Do we still practice the rigor and discipline of discernment before making significant decisions in our lives? Or do we simply rely on our life's experiences as the basis for such judgment and decision making? The reading today ends with a very simple and almost anticlimactic line. Then each went to his own house. Then each went to his own house. We can probably interpret it as these people have seen Jesus' miracles and possibly may have even been touched by his words, simply went back to their normal lives, failing to make the most important choice in their life, to follow Jesus. Alternatively, we may also read this line as an open-ended clause. It was up to these individuals to make their choice. Some may have eventually become followers of Jesus. How about you, my friends? Knowing what you now know and having witnessed what you have seen in your very own lives, how are you to respond? May we all have a blessed day.